one out of every 100. One out of every 100. One out of every 100. One out of every 100 owns a third of everything. The richest 1% holds 55 trillion. One out of every 100 sleeping underneath Egyptian cotton sheets, while another 100 families wonder how they're gonna eat. A private jet above the clouds, a food bank line below, both looking at the same sunrise from worlds they'll never know. The headlines call it progress, the markets call it growth. The landlord buys another building, the tenant loses hope. One out of every 100 holding 31.7%. One out of every 100 while the rest keep paying rent. One out of every 100 owning as much as 90 combined. One side counting stock options, one side counting dimes. 55 trillion dollars. Try to picture what that means. Stack it in $100 bills, it disappears beyond your dreams. More money than entire nations will produce within their lives. Yet somebody on the night shift still can't keep the lights alive. A waitress works a double, a driver works till 3:30. A warehouse worker scans another package, wondering why they can't get free. The numbers look impressive on a quarterly report, but nobody hangs spreadsheets on the wall of a foreclosure court. One out of every 100 holding 31.7%. One out of every 100 while the rest keep paying rent. One out of every 100 owning as much as 90 combined. The penthouse keeps getting taller while the basement floods behind. The richest 1% captured 20% of global income earned. One out of every $5 before the rest got their turn. A fifth of every paycheck, a fifth of every gain, flowing upward through the system like water rushing after rain. The experts call it efficiency, the brokers call it healthy growth. The family at the food bank calls it trying hard to cope. Different names for the same reality, depending where you stand. One side studies market trends, one side studies canned goods brands. Imagine 100 people standing shoulder to shoulder in a row. One walks away with nearly a third before the others even have a go. Imagine 90 people working, building everything in sight, then finding out the balance sheet says one person's doing alright. The number sounds impossible, that's why it sounds untrue. But reality doesn't stop existing just because the math is huge. City full of luxury towers, casting shadows on the street. A champagne toast above the skyline, a sleeping bag beneath. One side orders room service, one side skips another meal. Both living in the same economy, yet neither knows the other is real. The distances are measured in miles or roads or land. It's measured in the difference between surviving and making plans. One out of every 100 holding 31.7%. One out of every 100 while the rest keep paying rent. One out of every 100 owning as much as 90 combined. The richest 1% captured 20% of income worldwide. $55 trillion stacked beyond the reach of sight. And everybody keeps pretending that this is somehow balanced right. Understand the game.